Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Scott.
I'm Faustina. For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else, 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, there's a lot of sixes in there, aren't there, for all those phone numbers?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Faustina, let everybody know where you go to school and what grade you're in.
I go to school at Van Horn Elementary, and I'm in 6th grade.
All right, and that makes you a Hornet then, correct?
Yeah.
Have you been at Van Horn for a long time?
Yeah, since kindergarten.
Since kindergarten. All right. So, what do you think are some of the best things about your school? Because you've been there for 7 years now.
I think, well,
Do you think the playground is large enough, and have you enjoyed that your entire time?
no, we barely have, like, we only have 3 slides.
Only 3 slides?
Yeah, we only have 2 playgrounds.
Only 2 playgrounds?
Yeah, for kindergarten and for the other grades.
Oh, okay. So you would like to maybe have another playground set put out there possibly, right?
Yeah.
Maybe with more slides and bigger slides maybe?
I don't like slides.
You don't like slides, all right. So you got 3 slides, but you don't care. If they had no slides, you'd be cool with that, right? Do you guys have swings?
No.
Would you like swings?
Yes.
Well, maybe talk to your principal about that. Maybe
Put in
they
a
can
good
put
word for
swings
you.
in for you during your last couple of months at Van Horn. Is there anything that you're looking forward to going to your next school next year for 7th grade?
I'm looking forward to, like, the elective classes.
The elective class is good. And is there anything that you've thought about taking yet or that you know you're going to take?
I know I'm going to take band again.
Okay.
And I want to take, I don't know what else I'm going to take. I don't know what there is.
Oh, okay. But you do know you'll be able to take band.
Yeah.
So you're in band now, I take it.
Yeah.
And what do you play?
The flute.
The flute. So did you start that this year or have you done it for a while?
I started last year.
So you started last year. So you're going to look to continue playing the flute in junior high school. Well, good. Well, that way you'll be able to meet a lot of people from band, like before school even starts, and that way you kind of get a little bit used to what's going on in junior high, even before the first day of school.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that you're going to be in band. That's always a great thing, I think, for students to be able to play an instrument. How is 6th grade going overall?
Great. I'm making new friends, I guess.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that everything is going well. Are you ready to help me out with our social media problem of the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd go. That's why. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what it means, but yeah, let's go ahead and do it. All right. So let's take a look. Every day we put a problem out on social media, the stuff that you were reading about, and then people send us their answers, and they don't always have the correct one. They have a variety of different answers that they submit to us. So let's take a look at this. So it says 13 minus, and then we have parentheses, a 2 and a smaller 2, plus 3 and a smaller 2, parentheses. So what can you tell me about this problem right now before we even start solving it?
Well, you need to use the order of operations.
Okay, the order of operations is good. And what else can you tell us about that problem? Why are the numbers a little smaller?
Because they're exponents.
Because they're exponents, good. And so what does 2 squared, or 2 to the 2nd power, mean?
It means 2 times 2.
It means 2 times 2. And that's 4, right?
Yeah.
So what about 3 to the 2nd power? Does that mean 3 times 2?
No, it means 3 times 3.
So it's 3 times 3. So you're taking that base of 3 and multiplying it twice, which is what the exponent is telling you to do.
Yeah.
All right, good. So what do we do first? Where do we start?
So the order of operations is Gem does. So we start with groups, which means parentheses.
Okay, so we do what's inside the parentheses first?
Yes.
All right, so I've got 2 squared and 3 squared.
So 4 plus 9,
Okay, so 4 plus 9 is?
13.
Okay, so we have 13 inside the parentheses. So now what do I do with it?
So you're done doing the parentheses since there are no more things to do in it.
Okay,
So then you do 13 minus 13.
and what is that?
0.
So you think that B is the correct answer?
Yes.
So you don't think it could be 1, like 13, and for some reason they have a 13 and maybe it's like a divided by 13? 13 divided by 13 is 1? No? And you think because we had some exponents in there, do you know what 13 squared is? 13 times 13?
I have to do it on paper.
Oh, you don't have to do it on paper. Take a look up there. Which one do you think it is?
0.
Well, 13 times 13.
13, 169.
Yeah, so that's a clue right there for you, right? So 13 times 13 is 169, which is why that's up there. But you're still sticking with B, 0.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look and see if you are indeed correct. There you go, 13 minus 13, 0. Nicely done. First problem of the day, all finished right there. 636-4357 is the phone number. We have phone tutors available until 5:30. Time now for today's Math in the News. All right, so today's Math in the News. So Faustina, have you ever been in an airplane?
Yeah.
You have. All right, so when were you on an airplane? Do you remember where you were going or what was going on?
Last summer, I mean.
Okay.
And we were going from LA to Turkey and then to Iraq.
Oh, wow, that's a nice trip. Is that the first time you had been to those countries?
No.
You're a world traveler then, right? Pretty good one, it
That
sounds
was a
like,
big
right? We get on LA, we go to Turkey and then Iraq, and I've done this numerous times. All right, so those flights, do you like flying?
Sorta, not really.
Yeah, that's the way I am too about it. You know, I can get someplace fast, but sometimes it's not always the most pleasant experience. Some of the flights can be rather lengthy, right? They take a long time,
Yeah.
right? Especially the one from LA to Turkey. I'm sure that took,
Yeah, that took like 20 hours.
yeah, that's a long flight right there. So, did you ever wish you could do those trips faster?
Yes.
I think everybody would like to be able to do those faster, right? Have you ever heard of a plane called the Concorde? This is way before your time, but I don't know if maybe you've heard anything about it before.
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. So NASA right now is working on the X-59. Have you heard about the X-59 at all?
No.
All right, well, we're going to learn a little bit about the X-59 right now, okay? So it's going to revolutionize supersonic air travel, okay? So there was a plane called the Concorde years ago, all right? And it would ocean travel, so they would go from Europe to the United States in a fraction of the time, right? So let's say it was usually 5 hours, maybe it would take 3 hours now. That's pretty good, right? It's like half the time, okay?
Yeah.
So they're working on the X-59, and it's going to go faster than the speed of sound, right? The speed of sound is about 750 miles per hour, and this is going to be going 925 miles per hour. That's pretty fast, isn't it? And the flights we take going to Turkey or anywhere else aren't going that fast, okay? So what they want to do is they want to fly at high speeds with a quieter sonic thump. Have you ever heard a sonic thump or a sonic boom?
No.
No, and probably because you live in a populated area, which is why you haven't. Because usually they test these in places where there are not heavy populations because it's disturbing to a lot of people. I mean, sometimes these things can rattle windows and stuff like that, so they don't want to have that. So this illustration shows how sonic booms happen, all right? So this is kind of like you drop a pebble in some water and the ripples go out from it. That makes sense to you, right?
Yeah.
The same thing with sound waves, okay? So here we can see what the X-59 is looking like. And if you notice, this doesn't look like an airplane where a lot of people can get on it, does it?
No.
Now, there's only one. There's one seat for the pilot. But you can see how long this nose is, the front of the plane, and then the back of the plane. And we're going to be talking to the project manager, Catherine, later on this hour. So we're going to learn a little bit more about why they've placed things where they have. But the reason that they place them is going to help reduce the sonic boom, right? So I don't want to scare you, but it would be like all of a sudden you don't know what's going on, and bam, there's a big noise, like a loud sound, and it like will rattle things. And it's disturbing to a lot of people, and I mean, you don't want that going on all the time, okay? But they're going to work on this to make it quieter, all right? So, a sonic boom, have you ever heard of decibels? How loud things are when you hear them?
No.
Okay. So sometimes you'll see places, they'll go, oh, it's like 50 decibels if you hear this, okay? So here we can see if you hear a door slam in a parking lot a long ways away, it's about 60 decibels, okay? You've played basketball before, or you've seen people play basketball in the yard, right? So if people are bouncing a basketball, that's 90 decibels. So just think about what that sound is. Does that hurt your ears?
No.
No, okay? Now this, the sonic boom from that other airplane, the Concorde, was around 105. You've heard thunder before, possibly, in your life?
Yeah, not like close by, no.
Right, I mean, here in California, we usually don't get a lot of thunder where we live, but I didn't know if maybe world travelers yourself may have heard thunder and seen thunderstorms in many other places, but you never know. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the X-59 so that it is as quiet as a car door just closing, right? You just close a car door, that doesn't bother you at all, does it?
No.
And it's even less than a basketball bounce is what they're aiming to do, right? That way they can have this plane traveling at this high rate of speed over populated areas and not disturb people. Okay. Does that make a little sense?
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, I'm glad that makes a little bit of sense to you, and we're going to learn even more from Catherine when she joins the program later on. All right, so in the meantime, you can be thinking about stuff like that. But in the meantime, that is today's Math in the News. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout most of the school year. At the beginning of April, when most students are on spring break, that will be the end of live broadcast for Do the Math for this season, our 22nd full season. 22nd full season, our 23rd partial season. So, because I think we started in the middle of the year instead of September, so that's why it's, it's season 22, but 23, based on how you look at it. So, Faustina is a 6th grader from Van Horn, and in class you said you are working on expressions, correct?
Yes.
All right, why don't you head on over to the board, and we're going to have you guys work on an expression. So, Faustina, I think you're able to give an example to Scott of an expression you're working on, correct?
Yes.
All right, so go ahead and kind of towards the middle of the board, up a little bit, go ahead and start writing an expression.
Wow, did you pull that off from your head? There's a lot of stuff in there. Okay, so we have something kind of similar to what you had in the problem of the day on social media, right?
Yeah.
You have to use some grouping and all that fun stuff. What do you want to do with this first?
So the order of operations is grouping, then exponents, then multiply, divide, add, and subtract.
There you go, exactly right. So which part, without doing any math yet, which part would you do first?
The parentheses.
Yeah, so we have grouping, right? We have this group right here, and we have this group right here. So when I teach my students about the order of operations and which things to do first, I tell them to put little numbers over the top. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but I think that's kind of neat to see. So if this group is going to happen first, what part of that group happens within the group? What's the first part of the group that you actually work out?
The exponents.
Yeah, there you go. So really what's going to happen is we're going to do this one second and this one third, right? And then you're going to do the multiplication part in the middle, right? So there's 4. So this one really isn't 2, even though I showed 2 groups. This is the 5th thing we're going to do, really, because overall, this is what's going to happen. Inside is this one, and that one. And then you can do some stuff over here. And of course, there's that part right there. What's the very last thing that you're going to do in this expression?
All of this plus all of this.
There you go. So that's the last one right there. That's the 6th step. Okay, so at least we have an idea about what's going to go on. I like to have a plan before you attack it, even though it seems like you know what you're doing when it's going on. For someone who looks at that, though, and gets a little scared of all the numbers and all the signs, it's really not that bad. There's 6 steps, and each of them isn't really all that complicated, right? Yeah. Okay, let's start with the first one. Which part? It says we're going to do the 4 to the 2nd power first, right?
Yes, so okay. 4 times 4 is 16 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 8.
There you go, good job. Okay, so we have that in parentheses, still good. I'm so glad you did that. I'm going to give you a little bit more room too, just so you can have some room to work there. Okay. So that's still in parentheses, so we're still going to work that out before we add it, right? Good job. Yeah. So now you're going to do the stuff in the middle over there? As long as you keep it in a group.
12 plus 8 is 20.
Gotcha, and we'll just keep that in that group, right? So we got to do the multiplication part first still because it's in the first group. Let's go ahead and finish that, and then we'll do the addition part at the end.
Yeah, so 16 times 8 is 48 times 8.
That's it. Good job.
So 128 plus 20, which is 148.
148. Nice job. I like the way you did that. Is there any way, because we always like to do this in math, is there any way to check this?
So,
because we don't really have an equal sign to go back and plug it in, so it's not really like an algebra equation. Is there a way to check it, or a way that you can at least get an idea that the answer seems like a pretty good estimate?
You can.
It's kind of hard to do in a problem like this, huh? So let's do a little estimation just real quick, okay? You know that this number is under 20. You know that one, that's pretty close to 8, right? So maybe 20 times 8 is like about 160, and there's another 20. So at least we're in the right ballpark. If you ended up with a number that was like 9,700,000, we would go, whoa, slow down. This seems a little bit big. So maybe we can't check it exactly, but we can get an estimate before you start, and that goes along with making a plan about which part to do first, but also making a plan of what the answer should be around so that when we get the answer, we're not surprised.
And doing those order of operations certainly did help at the very beginning. So Faustina, for some great work so far this afternoon, you've got a pass to COM. So hopefully you have an opportunity to go out there, see some of the new and exciting things going on at COM, and they always have a whole variety of animals that they've always got over there, and hopefully you have an opportunity to go check that out pretty soon. And right now, this is one of the things that I love about using manipulatives in the classroom is using pentominoes. Hi, I'm Mike, and today we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at pentominoes. So pentominoes are something that a lot of classrooms have, but not a lot of students get the opportunity to use them a lot. So we're going to take a look at a couple of different ways you can use them. First of all, in the lower grades. So we can see that there are 12 different pentominoes. And a lot of ways kids can look at them is they represent letters. So here we can see, similar to an S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. The other ones, you have to get a little creative, but this is going to stand for an F, L, I, and P, so you've got flip. So you've got S through Z, and then you've got flip. That way the students can make sure that they've got one of all of the different 12 pentominoes. Each one of the pentominoes has an area of 5. So there are 5 different squares that each one of these will cover. So we can see that we have 1 and 1 is 2. Down below 3 and 4, and 1 in the middle is 5. All of them have 5. So if we have an area of 5 on each single pentomino, and there are 12 of them, we know that it will eventually cover an area of 60. So if we just want to say 60 units, 60 inches, whatever you want to do it. So you can make a 5 by 12 rectangle, but you could also make a 6 by 10. Because that will also give you an area of 60. There are other factors that will go into 60 besides 6 and 5. We know that we can do 4, and we could do 4 by 15 will also give us 60. We can also do a 3 by 20 is equal to 60. So if students can see that there are 4 different ways to use all of the pentominoes to make an area of 60, the next question you want to ask them is, will it be possible, because 2 will also go into 60, but let's take a look at the pentominoes themselves and see why 2 would not work. So if we use all of the pentominoes, a 2 by 30 is not going to be possible to make. We have 1 and we have a 2, but there's no other ways that you're going to be able to put all of them together and make a 2 by 30. So the 4 different ways that are on the board, those are the 4 different ways that you can make the rectangle come out to cover an area of 60. So here's one that probably students in kindergarten, first grade, maybe all the way up to 3rd grade can start, where they start exploring with pentominoes. So there are going to be 3 different shapes that we can use to fit into here. So students will just take a look and see if they can start putting them anywhere, and they can go, all right, that will fit there. If they can recognize the shape, they can go, all right, that P will go there. This is going to cut it down pretty easily, so they can see just the T will fit in right there. So by seeing spatial reasoning and spatial awareness, they can see how the 3 different pentominoes are going to fit into that shape that's already pre-drawn. Here's another one, and let's see if we can do this one. So we know that we've got pretty much everything straight. There's nothing that's going to be using the zigzags, let's say with the W and the X and things like that. So this, we can see, all right, this is one possibility. And then the students might look, well, are there others? Because this has one of the shapes coming out, one of the squares, but it's going to go past the perimeter. So we know this one has to go there. Then we can see, will this work anywhere? Well, it won't work there. Can't go there. Not there. It could go there. So we'll leave that one there. So we can see that completes the 3 different pentominoes for that shape. So once again, this is something just to introduce the students to in the lower elementary grades. Something they can also do is just take the different shapes and see what kinds of different things they come up with. So then you can give them graph paper, dot paper, they can come up with a different shape, draw it out, and then have that as a challenge for another person to see if they can figure out the pieces that go to cover that shape. One thing we'll do now is we'll try to make a 3 by 5 rectangle. So if we start with the T, and we need to make a rectangle. So we can see how that will fit in. Now, we said a 3 by 5, so we have 1, 2, 3. So we know we're not going any farther this way or that. A 3 by 5, we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need something to fit in here. So that covers a little bit, but not all of it. That's going to leave a gap. We could try something like this. No, that's not going to fit. So you just want the students to explore on their own, so they can flip them, rotate them, turn them, but we can see that that's not going to work. Try different pieces, and there we go. There's a 3 by 5. So if you're able to make a 3 by 5 like that, there are at least 6 different ways that you can make a 3 by 5. So maybe do this together with the students, then give them their set of pentominoes and see if they can come up with different ways to make a 3 by 5. Since we're talking about area, a lot of students will put area and perimeter together. So let's take a look at a perimeter example using pentominoes. So this is using all 12 pentominoes to arrange a fence to enclose a field. We can see that it has a 43 unit area that it's enclosing, but that's not the largest area that you can use. So you present them with find the greatest possible area using all of the pentominoes. So one of the things that students might see is on the far left, we've got this one shape that is referred to as the Y, but if they simply took it and flipped it, they would have a greater distance to cover and have a greater area. So these are just a couple of different examples that you can use for pentominoes in the lower grades. When we come back next time, we'll do a little further exploration with the higher grades and pentominoes. And as I said, simply love pentominoes, a lot of different things to do with those. We have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Right now, we are going to visit with another member of NASA. Catherine, how are you today?
Hi, good, thank you.
Thanks for being with us. You are the X-59 project manager at NASA, correct?
That's right.
All right, so these are exciting times for you because we are drawing closer to this actually happening as far as other test flights and stuff, correct?
Yes, our first flight will be later this year.
All right, so one of the big things is the shock waves, right? The sound waves and stuff like that. So how are they measured, first of all?
So on the ground, the shock waves are measured by microphones. We have equipment, these boxes that are attached to a microphone, and they are recorded using that. We also have the ability to visualize them, as you can see, and be able to see what the shock waves look like coming off the vehicle and as they go through the air heading towards the ground. And then we actually have an F-15 that is specially instrumented that will essentially probe underneath the aircraft, and we can get measurements of the shock waves using that aircraft.
And how, okay, so have you done that yet?
We've done it with other aircraft in
Okay.
the past. All of these options we've done in the past. But this aircraft is still undergoing testing on the ground, and so we haven't even taken off yet.
Okay, so I know that as you get started on something like this, which is a pretty big project, you need to come up with some prototypes first, ideas and things like that. So tell us a little bit about that.
So this project started many years ago with just designs to try and overcome the loud sonic boom like you described earlier. And so we had multiple contractors and the NASA team developing these concepts. And then you kind of narrow it down to what would actually produce a quiet thump. And then you start developing further models, wind tunnel models, simulations, and that sort of thing, so we can tell how well the aircraft will fly. And so we develop all of those along the way as we plan to build this aircraft.
Okay, and we can see the video right now of some of this right now, the simulations and things going on. And so you've got the prototype, you're kind of experimenting with the ideas and things that you've got like that. And then it comes time to actually build an aircraft. So talk a little bit about the details and how detailed you have to be as far as taking the ideas and the prototypes and then actually applying it to what's going to be built.
So when you're at the conceptual stage, it's more the drawings and that type of stuff that you saw in the earlier video. When you start fabricating, you have to know how many wires, how many bolts, how many different pieces of structure you need in the aircraft, so you know how many pieces you have to go out and buy and how many parts you have to put together. And so this is a great video showing all of those pieces and parts being put together on the aircraft and being installed. We'll see a picture of the bolts going into the wing, and we actually had a robot that installed the bolts that go into those holes that you just saw. And it was really exciting because actually they drilled all the holes, and then our mechanics and technicians installed all the rivets and the fasteners, and you can see the engine going in. And so all of those details, we used 3D modeling, virtual reality, to look at how the engine would go in and make sure that that it would fit properly when we tried it.
Yeah, watching that video right now, kind of daunting, just watching the nose come out. It's like, all right, when are we going to get to the, the cockpit, and
Yes.
the other parts of the plane? But it was kind of cool to see that coming out. And you also talked about the robot putting different parts in and stuff like that. But then we saw a video, one of the guys using a hand drill also. And that was kind of nice to see. So there is a human touch actually on the plane, making sure that, even though a lot of it is automated possibly, but you can see all the different people that are taking part in that. And if you could talk a little bit about some of the other companies, let's say, other than NASA themselves, helping to get this off the ground and going.
So Lockheed Martin is our prime contractor for this effort. So the aircraft is actually being built at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works in Southern California, and then in Palmdale. And then they contract out to a number of different companies all across the country. You know, over 100 different companies have supported the development of this aircraft with different pieces and parts. The nose was developed by a company in Southern California as well. So each of these pieces and parts have to come together. Some of them come from other aircraft, like our engine is from an F-18, and then we kind of call it a Franken airplane. Most X-planes are developed by using parts from other aircraft and reusing them because it's easier and faster to do it that way.
Right, I was going to say, instead of coming up with something totally brand new. One thing that I notice is that the engine is on the top as opposed to the bottom, and in the back as opposed to up front. So is that like one of the major things to help reduce this boom?
Yes. So I have a 3D printed model of the aircraft here. So with what you want to do to help reduce the boom to a thump is make sure that the bottom of the aircraft is really clean. Like there's not a lot of disruptions in the airflow going over the bottom of the aircraft. So when a normal aircraft like an F-18, F-15, when the aircraft has the engine on the bottom, you get a shock wave off of that. And that contributes to the overall sonic boom. With the aircraft having the engine on the top, there's nowhere for the shock wave to go down. It's covered, shielded by the wing. So it goes up, but does not go down. And so it's not contributing to the thump that we will hear.
Right. And one other thing I wanted to bring up is that, have you ever, what's a double boom?
So all aircraft, technically, your ear will hear, all aircraft have, when you have a sonic boom, it's two different sound events. But when you have a very short aircraft, your ear can't perceive those two events, the difference in them. So they just hear one boom. But with like vehicles like the Concorde and the shuttle, when it was flying, people's ear could perceive it because they're much longer vehicles. And so you would hear a boom, boom. But really that's happening for every aircraft. It just happens so much faster that your ear doesn't really perceive the difference.
Okay, and one important person in this whole thing is going to be the pilot. And when we were there, and this has been brought up, but he can't even see out in front of this plane, can he?
No, he can't. With that huge nose that we had, he can't see out. And also, we're stealing the back seat of a T-38 trainer aircraft for our canopy and our ejection seat. And so because of that, he won't be able to see out. So we have this camera, which is on the nose, and we have another camera that pops out from the bottom of the aircraft when we're in landing. And we have a 4K screen in the aircraft that puts these videos on a monitor so that the pilot can use that to fly. And so it kind of merges, when you're close to the ground, merges the two cameras so he gets a good field of view. And when you're up and away, flying like normal, he can just see around him. And they say they really like using this monitor.
I was going to say, it takes a little bit of training now for the pilot to, something other than what they were trained in before. So, Catherine, how did you become involved in NASA? Because my understanding is that you first started working with booms and waves a little bit.
So I was an intern for NASA, and my second summer out here, I spent time out in the middle of the desert recording sonic booms from SR-71s and F-18s and different aircraft. so that we could analyze and kind of make steps towards this aircraft. And so I started out as an intern, finished up school, and then got a full-time position out here. And then I worked in a number of different aircraft, X-33, which never flew, X-43, which is the first airframe integrated hypersonic vehicle. We have a Guinness Book of World Record for that. That's my claim to fame, I guess. And then Pad Abort, which helped the Orion project that's part of Artemis. And then ultimately got to be a part of X-59, so kind of coming full circle from when I was an intern.
Okay, well, it sounds an exciting way to start, and there are probably a lot of kids watching right now going, I want to do something like that. And the easiest way is to do as you did, become an intern, and then you'll find a lot of different areas. And if kids would like some more information on that, we do have it on our social media, our sites, and then they can always find out more through you guys as well. But an exciting time coming up for you guys, and you've been working on this for a very long time, correct?
Yeah, I've been part of this team for 6 years, but there's been decades of work leading to this aircraft, so it's really exciting. And if the kids want to follow along on our progress, you can go to nasa.gov/quest with 2 S's for supersonic. And you can get a boarding pass and follow along on all the things that we're going to be doing leading to first flight.
So Catherine, one last thing. I've got a quick half a minute with you now. So our student on the show today is in 6th grade and has done a lot of flying and international flying. So let's say she goes, hey, you know what, I'm 6th grade, so let's say she's probably around 11, 12 years old. How old do you think she will be when something like this is going to be available commercially for her to get on a flight going that fast?
It's going to take a little while because we have to change the regulation, like you had in your earlier, that there's a regulation that doesn't allow it right now.
Right.
And then, we'll have to have the commercial companies build and test and release that to the general public. But hopefully in the next, I'd say 15, 20 years, which seems like a long time, but it will go really fast.
Right, it will fly by. And I like hearing that because as an old man, maybe I'll be able to get on one of those also and take that trip back to New York, as I always do, a little bit quicker. Catherine, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
All right, have a nice day. Hey, you know what? We're going to learn a little bit more about San Jose right now.
Our planet is full of opportunities, but threatened by a changing climate. How humanity adapts to this evolving environment requires research, education, and new interdisciplinary solutions.
San Jose State University is at the forefront of understanding and preparing for climate change, whether it's studying ocean health at Moss Landing Marine Labs, developing methods to track wildfires and predict their behavior at the Wildfire Interdisciplinary Research Center, or breaking new ground in atmospheric sciences, tracking the movement of penguins in Antarctica, building more sustainable urban settings, discovering ways to use less water, or growing thousands of plant species to better understand their role in our environment.
In many ways, SJSU is the original Silicon Valley startup, the birthplace of what would become the 23-campus CSU system. Established in 1857, SJSU is the oldest public higher education institution in California. Now, we are a vibrant urban campus and a world-renowned location-driving innovation that touches every corner of the globe.
Silicon Valley is more than a location or just technology. It's an idea, a belief, that big things can begin here. They say what happens in the Silicon Valley changes the world. We are the university that is changing Silicon Valley.
On campus, Spartans are surrounded by heroes, those who stood up for what is right despite the odds.
SJSU alumni have made lasting contributions to the world, from the creation of Earth Day, to Moore's Law for technological advancement, to coining the term STEM. Our alumni have also reached the pinnacles of success in their fields, from Mary Blair creating animated classics like Cinderella, to Dr. Harry Edwards becoming the father of sociology of sport, to Amy Tan penning the bestseller,
to Yoshi Uchida serving as the first coach of USA Judo, to Stevie Nicks in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to Peter Uberoth being named Times Man of the Year.
This Spartan spirit to break new ground, to do what has never been done before is woven throughout the civic, cultural, technological, and entrepreneurial tapestry of Silicon Valley and beyond.
So what does it mean when we say we are living the Spartan life?
It means mixing your life experiences with the knowledge you gain inside and outside the classroom. SJSU is a transformative space where you contribute to change and are changed by opportunities and a diverse mix of students, faculty, and staff from all around the world.
This vibrancy has attracted the interest of international companies such as Adobe, which selected SJSU as one of the only 3 Adobe for All campuses in the U.S. We leverage our unique, world-renowned geography to partner with Fortune 500 companies and to provide a pipeline of diverse, talented people who are prepared to make a difference.
SJSU undergraduates have opportunities that some universities reserve for graduate students. As early as their first year on campus, students engage in meaningful, hands-on learning. We're developing exoskeletons, educating the healthcare professionals of the future, researching blood clots, learning how to fly as the only aviation school on the West Coast, and pushing performing arts to new heights at the Hammer Theater. Our students are working with Nobel Prize-winning scientists or winning awards at competitions like the Sunstone CSU Startup Competition and the CSU Student Research Competition. Some of those ideas sprout into inventions, and our startup ecosystem engages entrepreneurs with resources to build successful ventures from ideation to patents.
Our campus continues to evolve to meet the changing needs of our students. The brand new interdisciplinary science building revolutionizes collaborative education at SJSU while continuing to expand our research enterprise as we move into a R2 designation for high research activity.
We are the home of champions in the classroom and on the field, court, and in the water. Our new Spartan Athletic Center provides elite amenities for all student athletes on SJSU's 22 athletics team and the game day experience fit for aspiring champions. Our athletes make their mark in the community through Beyond Sparta program, laying the foundation for a life of success after sports.
Consistently ranked a top public school in the West by U.S. News, Money Magazine, and the Wall Street Journal, SJSU is equipping students with the skills and experience necessary to become key contributors to Silicon Valley's innovative core.
Living the Spartan life means flourishing in a diverse and inclusive community where students leave the downtown campus ready for their roles as global citizens driving societal change. Together, 40,000 Spartans strong, we invite you to experience the Spartan life with us in the heart of Silicon Valley. Discover what you can do at SJSU.
That's some pretty interesting facts to learn about San Jose State right there. All right, we have Faustina, a 6th grade student from Van Horn Elementary, was working on expressions in a regular classroom. You showed Scott exactly how to solve one beautifully before. And the next step from expressions is equations. So you ready for one?
Yeah.
All right, head on over to the board. I'll read one for you guys. And maybe, Scott, if you write it up a little higher.
Sure.
And then Faustina can work on it underneath. -7, open parentheses, x minus 6, close parentheses, minus 4x, minus 3, equals 3, open parentheses, x plus 5, close parentheses, minus 2x. And I know you're excited to get to this problem.
Board.
So.
Wow, that's a big one. Okay, so just like the problem we did before, we have to know what to do first and what to wait for later, right? Yeah. What are you going to do first in this big old thing?
So first, do like this times this and this times this.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? What's going on there?
So
like before, you used to have parentheses, you're grouping, and you could combine things in the middle. But we can't put an x and a 6 together. It doesn't work that way, right? So we're not combining inside. But you say we're taking this number on the outside and doing something on the inside. What's that called? Do you know?
I don't know what it's called.
It's a certain property in math, right? We call it the distributive property. And here's the way you can remember it, right? We're distributing. Distributing means passing out, right?
Yeah.
Like you distribute papers to all your friends or candy to all your friends. We're distributing this 7 to everything inside. So 7 goes to the x and 7 goes to the 6. All right, let's do it. When you distribute, what are you going to do? Add, subtract, multiply, divide.
Multiply.
Multiply. Yep. Distributive property means multiply. That's it.
So -7x and
Squish them together. Good.
-6 times -7 is -42.
Gotcha. Now tell me what a negative times a negative is.
A negative. A positive.
A positive, that's it. So we're going to make that a positive. Good. I'm glad we're checking each other's work. So that's good. It's going to make it a plus sign. That's all right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a plus sign. Yeah, so it's plus 42. Good. What's next? You got this part. Is this going to go away at all? Maybe later, huh? We're just going to keep it for now. So maybe this first step, our goal is to get rid of all the parentheses, right?
Now you do the same thing with this that you did over there.
Good idea. I like it.
So like that and that. So 3x plus 15.
Good job.
Minus 2x.
Okay, so now no more parentheses. It's still just as long, but we have a little bit less to work with and a little less to worry about. It's not quite so scary. What do you want to do next?
So now we like try to take away all the numbers. So it's like minus 15, so this goes away. And you have to do the same to the other side. So minus 15.
Oh, so you're borrowing here, right?
Yeah.
Good, Jill. Okay, so 12 minus 5 is 7, and 3 minus 1 is 2. 7x still there? Negative 7x. Plus, good. Minus 4x. Good job. Minus 3. Ah, nice, because our 15s went away, right? So we got rid of one thing anyway. What's next? What do you want to do next in this whole part here?
So now you try to get rid of the x's.
You can get rid of some x's, but tell me about this. Can we start to put things together?
Yes, because
Like let's say that this, let's say we're going to go ahead and divide this in the whole deal, right? Let's put it, look at the right side. Can you put those things together?
yeah, so
can,
3x minus 2x is 1x.
Gotcha. So we're simplifying now, right? We still have an equal sign here. What can we simplify on the left side?
Negative. No.
Well, just like you put the x's together on the right, we have a couple x's together here on the left, right? So we have that x and we have that x, right?
So minus 7x minus 4x is
So minus 7 minus 4, right?
11.
Yeah, negative 11x. Good job.
Plus,
and then we also
and I
have
can do that.
this one and that one, right? So 27 minus 3?
27 minus 3 is, 24.
Good job. I'm going to erase this for you a little bit so we're not too confused. Looks good. Now we're really down to a problem that doesn't look nearly as intimidating, right? So what's the goal now? What do you want on one side? What do you want on the other side? What's the best thing to do here now? We'd really like to get the letters on one side and the numbers on the other side. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Okay, so how can you get this negative 11 on the other side? So we can have all the x's on the other side.
Plus negative 11.
So we're doing the opposite, kind of like you did before, and you can do that with x's or exponents.
So these are gone.
Yeah, they are.
And then plus 11x equals 12x.
Good. And what do you have over there left over? 24
equals.
Looking good so far. Let me give you a little bit more room. So now that was the goal, and you made the goal, which was to get the letters on one side and the numbers on the other side.
Now you try to simplify this.
Yeah, how do you simplify that? What does this mean, 12 with an x squished next to it?
Yeah, so that's 12 x's.
What is it? It is 12 x's. What does it mean, though, when you have 12 and x squished next to it? Does it mean add, subtract, multiply, divide?
Multiply.
It does, that's right. So it's multiply. What's the opposite of multiply?
Divide.
That's it. You're going to divide by 12, right?
So
just like you did opposite of negative 11, you did plus 11. So divide by 12.
So it's x, and this divided by 12 is 2. So
That's
2
it.
equals
And we can
x.
show that by making a fraction, because fractions mean divide. So 12 divided by 12 goes away, and 24 divided by 12 is 2. I feel super positive about that. Are you feeling pretty good about that answer?
Yeah.
Now here comes my question. Just like in the last problem, how can we check the answer?
You
I can tell you know how to check it, you just may not want to very much. But I know we can, right? Because if you go all the way back to the back, remember that x is 2, right? Go back to the very top of the problem, way up here.
Yes. So
Where would you put that 2?
Where all the x's are.
You could put it here, right? What about way at the top there? Can you do it at the very top?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, you could do it right at the top, right? Oh, you're going to erase them all. 2. Good, I'm glad you put the multiplication sign. Good for you.
Nice to see that board is the perfect height as you are reaching up above
That's
there.
exactly it. You got it. Okay, how about this? We're gonna work together. I'm gonna work on the left side, and you work on the right side, and we'll see if we get the same answer. Okay? Because they're supposed to be equal, right? So you work over there, and I'll work over here. So first of all, I'm gonna do this negative, this part right here in the parentheses, right? Negative 7 times negative 4 minus, oh, we got some more stuff going on here. 8, that's what that is, minus 3. I hope we get the same number. If I put these two together, I get 28 minus 8 minus 3. Uh-oh. 28 minus 8 is 20, minus 3 is 17. And
So
what'd you get?
Faustina, I think what you did is when you did 3 times 7, you got 24.
Oh, there you go.
But fix that.
What's 3 times 7?
21.
That's
There
it. You got it.
That's what happened.
Because we really would love for these answers to be the same, right? What's 21 minus 4?
Take
a guess. Hey, that's a good guess. All right, that worked out really well. Because then if you have a buddy and you have a big, long problem like this, you can say, hey, you do half and I'll do half and we'll meet in the middle, right? We both got 17. That means that answer checks out in the original problem. Nice
There you
work.
go. Nicely done. So you did some expressions, went on to equations, did them both beautifully. Some great work this afternoon. And you did a little math under pressure. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now.
Okay, as another example of math under pressure, we have a firefighter in a respiratory protection gear. This is an SCBA, a self-contained breathing apparatus. Very important, very vital piece of equipment in order to protect our respiratory tract inside of a vehicle or a fire or something that has a lot of smoke involved, a lot of toxins. So the cylinder that he's wearing on his back that's supplying the air is putting out 4,500 PSI pressure. That's reduced down to about 120 PSI here at the first stage regulator, and then it travels up a hose, goes into his mask-mounted regulator that's supplying about 7 pounds of pressure. That pressure is creating a positive seal inside the mask. You'll be able to hear, if I turn him here to the side, if I break the seal, there'll be a flow of air as it comes out. You'll hear the mask, it's continuing to flow air. So there's a constant flow of air pressure pushing against the inside of the mask to keep contaminants out from entering that breathing space. Now, as he's breathing, he's keeping that pass alarm moving. This is a device that's designed to locate a firefighter in the situation where he may go down and not able to call for help himself. It automatically activates an alarm. So he's using the air pressure. It's not infinite. This cylinder is rated to go about 30 minutes of working time. Now that's if they're in really good shape. Typically what you're going to get out of this cylinder is about 15 to 20 minutes of working time. Okay, so once that's depleted, there's a low pressure air alarm that's going to be right here. That bell is going to go off and let the operator know that now he needs to exit the building to change that cylinder to get a new pack on it. What we're going to do now is we'll take it off and we'll show you how to fill the cylinder. Okay, so that's how the air is delivered to the face mask. Now let's figure out how we get the air back inside it to give our supply. This is the machine that we use it. This is a big compressor. It works off of a cascade system. So in the back of it, there are 4 cylinders that already have air pressure inside them. And we'll start with the lowest one first, add that pressure to our depleted cylinder, and then fill it up. I open the safety chamber here. Make the connection. It's important to make sure that you get the threads right. You don't want to cross thread these. So you want to make sure that when you put them on, that you're not disturbing the threads at all, making a problem for yourself. So this safety chamber is designed that if there were an event where there's a rupture in the cylinder, This is to contain it. So it's kind of like a blast shield. This is designed to be able to capture that force or that energy as it's being released. And then this pressure system here, this fill station, has a bleeder valve so that the air that's trapped into it, I can escape in a safe and controlled manner. So now I've got it hooked up to the system. I open up my cylinder that's going to now give me some, or I'm going to fill some air into it, make sure my bleeder is closed. I check now and I have pressure reading on this gauge. It's telling me that I have 2,000 PSI into it. We've got to put 4,500 PSI into this cylinder. Close that up. Now if I just open this up, nothing's going to happen until I give it a supply of air. So I need to open up my first cylinder, make sure those are closed. That air pressure is going to come into this switch, go down to the regulator that's already set to 4,500 PSI, and it should fill this cylinder. So I open this up. And you can see and hear as the air pressure is being pushed inside that cylinder. Now, with this supply, I should be able to fill this up without the compressor even coming on. And that's the beauty of using a cascade system, because you don't want to have your system running on a continuous basis, then it's harder for the motor. Now, I don't want to fill this too quickly, because as that air is being pressed into the cylinder, it's creating an awful lot of heat. There's friction involved. And if I over-pressurize it or overheat it, then that causes a lot of fatigue in the cylinder itself. So I want to make sure that it fills up at a slow rate. So we're reaching our maximum pressure here. It's about to equal out the 4,500 PSI that the regulator set at. And you can hear the air pressure is kind of slowing down, airflow. And then I can finish this up just to make sure that we're topped off. And now I know that it has completed its fill cycle. Go ahead and shut this off. I'm going to leave that open because since it started to be used, we'd use it on the next cylinder. Go ahead and open the blast chamber. Now I need to capture the air that's been put inside the cylinder. I want to close that cylinder valve. I won't be able to release this handle until I bleed the pressure that's out in this system. So I'm going to open this up. Now this is released. I'll be able to take this off pretty easily. And that's the fill cycle. So we've gone from use to filling it. It's completely full, ready to go for its next service. And that's another example of math under pressure.
And we want to say thanks to all those guys over at CTEC, because they did some wonderful demonstrations for us talking about math under pressure, because I was like, hey, I want to do math under pressure. There's a lot of different things we can do, and they have done an excellent job on that, showing us different examples of pressure and how that all works. Did you feel under pressure today?
Yes.
A little bit. Well, you know what? You did wonderful while you were doing it, right? So you got through those problems. You explained everything to Scott beautifully. Did you have fun while you were under pressure today?
Yes.
Well, that's the most important thing right there, because that's what we want you to do. Hey, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.